And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I'm Michael DeLon, and today I am talking once again with Michael Davis. Michael Davis, thank you, brother, for being here and sharing some time with me.
Always a joy to talk with you, Michael. I always pick up wisdom, and your
Mm.
energy is infectious.
Thank you. That's a really consistent theme for a lot of people I talk with, and I praise God for that. Somebody asked me years ago, it's like, why are you so happy? And I thought, what's the alternative? I don't know.
I'm still
So
above ground.
that's right. I'm still above ground, and it's all good. So I get to do what I love to do, and talk with people like you is one of the things I just really enjoy doing. So Michael is the founder of Speaking CPR. I like to say he can breathe life into your presentations, but he really helps you understand how to communicate to capture your audience from the get-go, really from the beginning, and hold them through the end without them checking out or checking, this thing to figure out what's going on. And he's got this great framework that I saw him give this presentation a month or so ago when we were together, and it was really intriguing. So I want him to dive in deep and help us understand how having great abs can help you speak better. So Michael, let's first of all get a snapshot of who you are for those new to you. Who are you, and how'd you get doing what you're doing today? And then we'll get into the whole workout part about having great abs.
Well, Michael, you and I both know, and if you're watching this, you know that presentation skills, the ability to stand up, and it doesn't have to be in front of a huge audience. It could be one or two people, stand in front of a camera and effectively communicate and persuade and inspire people is a skill. And most people would like to have it, but the problem is most don't know how to do it. And that's because, first of all, there are some internal fears that have been passed down to us from our earliest ancestors. And there's also a lot of conflicting information. If you go to YouTube, Google it, you're going to get all kinds of contradictory suggestions. So, what do people do when they have information overload or contradictory information? They do nothing.
Yeah.
They just freeze up. So what we've created is a series of programs and created frameworks that help people structure their presentations in a way that grabs people's attention from the start, keep it from beginning to end. And as you and I were talking about before the recording, there is no perfect amount of time of a presentation. If it's compelling and intriguing, people will stay all the way through.
100%.
Yeah. The reason I got into this was back in 1994. I was a young financial advisor. And as it turns out, I was not the presenter I thought I was.
Yeah, yeah.
I saw a stack of evaluations one day from various audiences. My manager, to put it bluntly, said, "You're a lousy speaker." He used a little stronger language, but
Yeah.
fix this.
Yeah.
So out of desperation to save my job, I went to an organization that helps speakers, and that led me to mentors. And I thought I'd go for a few weeks, solve the problem, and get back on my path with my financial career. Turns out that planted a seed in me that took a couple decades to really get going. But once I did, I realized that I have a skill for this. This is what
Mhm.
I'm meant to do. It's a
Yeah.
calling, and I can help more people. For example, as a financial advisor, I could have helped 50 to 100 families a year. Sure.
Sure.
But what if I went out and helped 300 financial advisors or 500 financial advisors help 50 to 100 people? Now I'm scaling impact. I don't have to get the credit.
Right.
And
Very.
that's why I love what I do, helping people get their messages out. Now, I'm very careful with this word, but the word is tragedy, not a human tragedy, but
Right.
a business tragedy is someone who has an idea but never gets it to market. It could have helped millions of people, but they didn't get it out because they can't communicate well.
Yeah. That is tragic in a business sense, because if you're wanting to increase your bottom line profits and even your top line sales, what if you learn to speak more effectively and you could close one more client a month? What would that do for your business? You don't have to have more marketing. You don't have to put more people in the seminar. You don't have to do more webinars. You need to communicate more effectively, more compellingly, so they stay with you. They get what you're saying and they hire you. That's what Michael helps business owners do. So let's dive into this whole exercise routine thing you've got, talking about having great abs and how that helps you speak. What in the world is this framework about?
Well, as you saw in Denver when I spoke, I call it high impact storytelling abs. Sometimes we call it six-figure abs when I'm working with sales professionals.
Sure.
Well, sometimes when people hear six-figure abs, they think I said six-pack abs, right?
Six-pack abs. Woo, look at
Now,
that.
as you experience in Denver, this when a middle-aged guy like me does this, it's disturbing.
It's disturbing.
But when you get past the disturbing part of this, you might realize something. Hey, Michael's onto something.
Yeah.
He didn't do hundreds of sit-ups a day, or he doesn't go to the gym for hours on end. He doesn't need a restricted diet. Man, that's too much work. It's too hard. I found a shortcut to six-pack abs.
Mm-hmm.
I bought the t-shirt, right? And six-figure storytelling abs are a shortcut to more impactful presentations.
Love it.
Now, I was introduced to this concept several years ago through a film documentarian, and the history of this is, and back in the 80s, he was a film screenwriter, script consultant named Frank Danielle, came up with this concept that the problem with most movie scripts is they're buried in what he calls and land. This happened, and this person was all, and this happened, and that happened, and it's just a series of facts,
Yeah.
which is extremely boring. And in today's attention deficit world, that kind of structure loses people fast and they go running for their phones.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's it's an acronym. ABS is and, but, and so. And the structure is you need to set up your stories with some relevance. We need to grab people in the beginning by showing the everyday life of a character. That's where the and comes in. Here's who's involved. Here's when it happened. Here's where it occurred. And here's the aspiration of that character.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, when I'm talking about speaking skills to an audience of prospective speakers, I'll start a story about my client, Patty. I met her in 2009 and we were at a chamber event. She walks up to me, very successful woman, and she is stressed out. She says, Michael, I've got to give this big presentation and I'm scared to death, but I need it to go well because our foundation needs the attention and the money. Now, within about 30 seconds, I've established who's involved, where we were, when it happened, and what's at stake for her.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we need. The problem with most speeches and stories is I'm telling you how she was dressed, what the situation was in the room where we met, the weather outside, what was going on politically. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you've heard these stories, right? You're in the publishing business. You've got to help people get it concise. That's the key to this, is get it set up quickly and get to the second part, which is the B, called the but. You can use other words, therefore, yet, on the other hand, but somewhere that sends the story into its conflict.
Okay.
As a publisher, you know this.
Oh,
a
yeah.
story must have a conflict, and it's got to be a relatable conflict to the listener. So the but sends that into a new direction.
I like that. I like the relatable conflict. That's really good as you're communicating. Okay, I'll you keep going.
It's great.
I got
please. I'd love your insights on this because I always love the different industry, same concept, storytelling, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, former financial advisor or even a personal injury attorney, estate planning attorney, it doesn't matter. A relatable conflict, right? You tell a story of a client you've helped, and then you could even, I'm assuming you could pause and as you. And the cool thing about presenting is you see body language if you're doing it in person or on Zoom.
Sure.
Pause and ask them a question. Can that, do you relate with that? Is that similar to what you're going through? Letting them now start sharing so they're entering the story themselves as well. Because if you do it right, your story should parallel your audience's journey. And that's going to cause them to come closer to you. There's a lot of art and science there.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. They've proven through the hard science and the research that when you tell an emotionally rich and sensory story, that it taps into the same part of the brain of the listener. The same part of the brain in the listener is engaged as the storyteller. It is as if your story is becoming their story.
Yes.
I have no problem with asking the audience if they can relate. However, a better way to do it is to do your research ahead of time and say, will this story relate to this audience? It was very easy for me when we were at that event in Denver. I knew there were 300 financial advisors sitting in front of me. They would relate to my opening story because that's what I told was a financial planning story.
Yes.
Do your homework so you will know that you have a very good chance of the story landing. But I also love interacting with the audience in storytelling to make sure that they're feeling it. But one of the big problems we see, in addition to people just giving this report full of statistics and figures and, sometimes people jump right into a conflict, which is jarring because I have no perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The story I told in Denver about sitting in my boss's office thinking I'm going to get this good review. If I had started by saying, Michael, you're a lousy speaker and we're going to fire you if you don't turn this around. Well, people be like, where did that come from?
Right.
You need context. We just need short context, then get us into the conflict, which is what the but is all about.
Okay.
I would contend that but is the most powerful word in storytelling.
Yeah.
Because it creates curiosity.
Yeah.
And it's like, where did that come from? What's
Right.
going on?
Yeah, it's funny, and I may borrow that because I teach the Bible at church to kids, and disciple a lot of guys, and I have this phrase. I'm like, as you're reading scripture, always look for the buts in the Bible, and they're like, what? But that's exactly because when you're reading and it says, but God or but Joseph, something's changing now. It should capture my attention and make me really press in. And that's kind of what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. But sends us in a new direction. It creates that curiosity. Brain wants to know what's going on.
Yeah. And
Whereas,
curiosity is a good thing.
yeah, when you set up the story with too much of the and, you bore them. When you set just enough up where they're like, okay, I can relate to this, but then this happened. Now I'm in a new direction.
Yeah. But then this happened. And it's funny because that just goes right past us. But when you're listening, it really is it's a communication device. And I think so many times as business owners who speak a lot, we forget about language and how important certain words are and how to insert certain words into stories to take it where I want it to go. Fair?
Oh, absolutely. We have to be
Okay.
very careful. And one of the issues with the word but is we have been taught in our interpersonal communication, you should not say the word but because it discounts everything you said before, which is absolutely true in one-on-one conversation. If I come onto the podcast and say, Michael, I love your setup, love everything about your background and the way you look, you're very professional, but what are you going to remember?
Let me get the eraser out, okay?
Be like, yeah, Michael Davis. I don't remember doing a podcast with him. I don't remember that. That one got erased. Right. So that's true. However, it's just the opposite in storytelling. It gets us to lean in and say, oh, what happened next?
I like it. I like it. Okay, so we've got and don't string too many things together and bore them to death, but creating that curiosity, a kind of a change of direction per se. S.
Yes. So is the resolution. This is the important part if you want to have an impact and create the need in people to want to talk with you if you're in sales or leadership or not necessarily talk to you, but if you're a leader, you want them to take action. This is the part where they're going to take action. You show how the problem got resolved. So we took them through our 3-step storytelling abs process, our 5-step get yourself published in a week process.
Yeah.
Name the process and name the result. When we got through the process, Patty said to me, I am so thrilled that we got together. Every time I get a chance to speak now, I grab it before I used to be scared to death, Michael. Notice I didn't say how we did it.
Right.
It's what I see in a lot of presentations, Michael, is they may set up a really nice and a but, and they've got us going down this journey. And then all of a sudden they start explaining the details of how they solve the problem. That's not the time to do it. What we're selling is the emotional impact on your solution to the end user.
Yeah.
Right. My gosh.
Say that again. Go back and say that again.
I'll try.
What we're selling is.
The emotional impact on your product or service to the end user.
Yeah. Wow. Just if you're listening to that, just pause, go back, rewind about 30 seconds and listen to that again, because that is gold right there.
Or the other thing you can do is get on a Zoom call with Michael and sit in his, watch his waiting room video where he tells the story of a woman who invested in his services and got 2 clients in the first week, I think it was. And she said, it more than paid for itself. I am thrilled. Right?
Yes.
Michael, you're selling the I'm thrilled. I got published and I got clients out of it.
Yeah. That's
Eh,
because that's what they're paying for, right?
Yeah.
We tell
We're
clients all
so,
the time. Yeah.
yeah.
They're not buying a book. They're buying
No,
the credibility. They're buying new clients and the experience of, I finally found a way that works for me.
exactly. They're buying peace of mind. You're getting some stress off their plate, the frustration. That's what they're buying. Just like I use the analogy all the time. It's like going to the doctor. I'm in pretty good health, but every so often I need to go to the doctor. When I go, I don't sit down with her and say, Doctor, could you explain to me how that stethoscope was created?
Right.
I really need to know the all the specs on it. And by the way, what did you take in your second year? No, I go in and say, I don't feel real well. I don't feel well. Fix me
Right.
and do it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we all do.
That's right.
We get too caught up in this idea of the curse of knowledge.
Yes.
I need to impress upon you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, how smart I am and how good I am. When all they're thinking is, do you get me? Do you understand me?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you an expert? All right. Can you solve my problem with a specific solution? Great. Let's go. That's all they
Fascinating. Yeah.
want to
The,
know.
the mental image that just came up to me was, if you have a headache, I want to go get a bottle of aspirin or Tylenol, whatever, right? I don't really care what's in it or how they manufacture it, or I really don't. I want to know, if I take that, will it get rid of my headache? Yes, great.
That's exactly it. Michael, I've been going back to an old example in the sales world that used to, what they used to tell us is the person going to the hardware store, woman's in the hardware store, she's looking at drills. Why? Because she needs to drill a hole in the wall to hang her picture.
Yeah.
Well, the old mindset was she wants to buy the hole in the wall. It's like, no, that's not what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
She wants the picture on the wall. She wants the way she's going to feel when people walk into her house and look at that picture and say, that is beautiful.
Yeah.
How does she do that? She needs to drill a hole in the wall. How does she do that? She needs to get into the hardware store, go buy a drill and a drill bit and drill the hole in the wall. But it's the picture that she wants.
Yeah.
We need to sell the picture.
Yeah.
We're spending too much time on the drill and the hole in the wall.
Yeah. And selling that picture has a lot to do with communication and story and speaking and, well, having
Yeah.
great abs.
Having great abs. That's right. And that's what the ab structure does. It very quickly enables you to open a door to people, for people where they can say, you know what? I think you understand me and my problem. Let's talk further.
Yes, exactly. It gets them to lean in and take that next step. And that is so
Exactly.
important, because in business and marketing right now, I mean, it's just, we make it way too complex. And the next step is usually schedule a consultation with me. That's rarely the next step. The next step might be, hey, here's a framework. Go to Michael's website and download the abs framework. Okay. You're not ready for a conversation yet. I want to understand that. Go watch some videos that he has. Go step by step. And I think through story, it's a great way to do that. Right.
No, it absolutely is. And you brought up a good point. I got a LinkedIn post the other day. I had to save it. Got it in my email. Hey, will you please recommend my book? Who are you?
Right. Yeah. No. No. What part of the word no do you not understand? Yeah.
I'm
It's
amazed at how many people I think it's not uncommon to use the dating analogy in sales. It's like how many people are rushing to the honeymoon night,
yeah.
right? It's
Yeah.
what's your name? Who? I don't get it.
Yeah.
And
Um,
those of us who are willing to slow the process down are going to get the most business.
without question. Without question. And in order to create six-pack abs physically, you got to slow life down. You got to go to the gym. You got to do the exercise. You have to practice, right? And we call it exercise. Well, to develop six-pack abs in speaking, you need to practice. This is not going to come naturally. Michael's giving you a great framework, but what are you going to do with it? So, Michael, where does somebody connect with you to learn more about how to get great abs for speaking, but about all the other services you do? Because I'm convinced that when we communicate more effectively, we connect to the heart and people trust us more and we gain their business and we can serve more people, make a greater impact. What you do is so vital in that whole world of business. How do people get a hold of you?
You can contact me most easily, mike@speakingcpr.com. And I'll be happy to send you a couple of complimentary reports about the abs. Just put storytelling abs in the subject line, and I'll send those to you. You can also visit my website, speakingcpr.com.
That's awesome. And folks listening to this, how simple those calls to action are. Speakingcpr.com. That is a great website, by the way. I mean, it's a great domain, but it's a great website too. But how easy is it to remember that? Speaking CPR. He's going to breathe life into your presentations. He's going to help you develop six-pack abs so that you can gain more clients and communicate more effectively. Michael, dude, you and I could talk for hours, and I'm sure we will as the days and months flow out. But thank you for being here again on Experts Speak.
And thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, it's rare I have somebody on twice, so you're in a very small group. I start charging at 3, so come back next week. And just kidding. Six-pack abs for speaking. How do you develop great abs? So you've got enough from listening to this episode to really start implementing this, but you really need to reach out to Michael, get those free resources, and find out how he can help you communicate more effectively in order to grow your business and make an impact and do what you're meant to be doing. So, Michael Davis, thank you again for being my guest on Experts Speak.
Thank you, Michael. Great to be here.